Hello everyone, good morning. I'm Rosna. Welcome to the Salon Talks that brings you the most important conversation today. Today we'll discuss about ethnic group affiliation and willingness to communicate. Is there a correlation? To answer the confusion, we found an article that related. The artists are trying to find the relation between EGA and WTC. Okay, let me introduce to you our few guests today. The first one is Dr. Ezrin Afika from Oxford University.
Hello.
The next one is Dr. Salome Stefania
Hello.
from University Malaysia Sabah, and the last one is Dr. Beliza Janius from University of Michigan. Since today's issues are about ethics, group affiliation, and willingness to communicate, do you think there is a correlation between those two topics? Now we can start with Dr. Ezrin. Now, Dr. Ezrin, as a language expert, do you think this study is relevant? What are actually ethics, group affiliation, and willingness to communicate? Is it only a concept of a language? What do you think?
Yes, thank you, Miss Nana. So EGA and WTC, it is indeed a very interesting combination. So firstly, I will explain briefly about EGA. EGA is Ethnic Group Affiliation. It is defined as a closely attached feeling that one feels towards their own culture and language. Some learners may try to hide their proficiency in English or in L2 because they are afraid of being labeled as someone who is betraying their own ethnic. And next is WTC, which is willingness to communicate. According to McIntyre and also his team, they define WTC as a readiness to enter into discourse at a particular time with a specific person or persons with using an L2. And also McIntyre also claimed that WTC in L2 signifies psychology preparedness to communicate in L2 when chances come. So learners who have high WTC are more willing to communicate or using L2 as a medium of conversation or medium of communication. For example, when this type of learner met a foreigner and for example, the foreigner is talking English, they are not afraid to approach the foreigner because they try to use all the chances or all the opportunities that they can to use the language, to use the second language. And this is what WTC is. And regarding your question about the relevance or whether this study is relevant or not, I think it is a very relevant study because first, it is not impossible for these two components, which are WTC and EGA, to have some correlation between each other. And from the study, we finally can find the result of this correlation, whether they have their relationship or there's a relationship between these two components or not. And secondly, I believe that this study will help to improve, especially teachers, to change their teaching materials or teaching methods to be more effective in improving second language proficiency. And that's.
Wow, that was a good explanation, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Ezrin, for the explanation. Now we will give space to the commercial, and next we will know more about the relation between EGA and WTC. Stay tuned.
First piece of it.
WTC News with me, Wasna. Since we already know what is EGA and WTC, so Prof. Salome, what finding did you found on the article? Is it amazing? Can you share with us and the audience at home?
Yes, sure I can. The null hypothesis in this article, which stated that there is no significant correlation between ethnic group affiliation, as known as EGA, and willingness to communicate, as known as WTC, has been confirmed by the data analysis of this study. There is a significant correlation between EGA and WTC. The data analysis result showed that high levels of EGA resulted in low levels of WTC in English language among undergraduates from three major ethnic groups, which is Malay, Chinese, and Indian, in a public university in Malaysia. We can conclude from the results that the ethnic with high EGA level is Malay ethnic, followed by Indian ethnic, and the lowest EGA levels among the three major ethnics is Chinese ethnic. Whereas the most high levels of WTC in English is Chinese ethnic, followed by Malay and Indian ethnics respectively. Well, I've read a book of business and social before. The book says that if Malay showing reluctance to communicate in Malay, well, I've read a book of business and social before. The book says that if Malays showing reluctance to communicate in Malay in social communication, they were perceived as ignorance by their own ethnic. Such perceptions of beliefs make Malay ethnic feel the intense fear in communicating in second language. And I also read about another research study about relationship between ethnicity differences and language learners' willingness to communicate. I learned that every culture or ethnic has their own perceptions of beliefs that limiting their WTC in English. As we all know that Malaysia is well known for its ethnic diversity. Hence, the objective of this study was to investigating the level of EGA among undergraduates from only three major ethnic groups in a public university in Malaysia, and identify the relation between EGA and WTC in English. I agree that this research only focused on three major ethnics in Malaysia because these three ethnic groups are symbols of multiculturalism in Malaysia that are also symbols of unity in Malaysia. However, I disagree in the materials and methods in this research article. The number of participants in this research are imbalanced between the three major ethnics, which is Malay, 13 people, Chinese 14 people, and Indian 12 people. The total participants are an odd number, which is 39 participants. It is good to randomly pick and limit the number of participants for the accuracy of data analysis and to make it easier to analyze it. However, in my opinion, the result seems dubious when the data of ethnic is unequal, since the objective of this research is investigating the three major ethnic groups. We suggest for improvement by balancing the number of participants by setting a total of 15 participants per ethnic. That makes the total number of participants is 45 people. This article has a strong data analysis that produces a significant result. The researcher in this article conducted quantitative data analysis method, which is the Pearson correlation. Pearson correlation is a technique to investigating the relationship between two quantitative continuous variables. Pearson correlation is a measure of the strength of association between two variables, as we can see in the results of the data analysis of this research study. The Pearson correlation showed that there are negative correlations between three major ethnics. Negative correlation means the two variables move in opposite directions. For example, For the two variables x and y, an increase in x is associated with a decrease in y. Thus, in this case of EGA and WTC, high levels of EGA is associated with low levels of WTC in English. Hence, we can conclude that the result of the study is satisfying as it fulfills the research objective, and this research proved us that EGA has relations with WTC in English.
Thank you, Prof. Salome, for the explanation just now. It was such an amazing finding, okay? I have a question now for Dr. Beliza. Ethnic group affiliation and willingness to communicate can be related to our life. What do you think, Dr. Beliza? Do you agree?
Yes, certainly. EGA and WTC can be related to our life. This is because we are living with society and our origin sometimes define our identity. Therefore, sometimes we cannot help but be proud of our ethnicity. However, it is a sad occurrence if we let our own ethnicity and pride to hold us down from using or from the willingness to communicate in second language, which is English. And I believe we have seen this kind of thing before. Me myself also have experienced EGA and WTC. It is because I live with an environment with a non-English speaker, as the people around me communicate using native language. Even when I know some of the people around me can understand what I say, but I just can't bring myself to talk using English because I'm afraid of the judgment from them. This event somehow causes me to always be hesitant to use English as communication. As an educated point of view, because of the lack of opportunities or because the students themselves refuse to use any chances they get, teachers can create opportunities. This can be done by doing role play and practicing situational conversation or dialogue such as at home, office, or shopping malls. Besides that, storytelling is also another way to create opportunities among students. Students can be asked to tell a story with right intonations, expressions, and gesture, so they will be motivated to use second language in daily conversation. Plus, they can have more fun in doing these activities. Instead of cramming multiple information, plus they can have more fun in doing these activities instead of cramming multiple informations, because for me to be able to use second language instead of just knowing it is more important for second language learner learning success.
Yes. I agree with you, Dr. Beliza, because I have the same experience as you. Sometimes I afraid to talk to communicate in English because people tend to say that I'm super proud with the fluency of my language. Before I get used to speak in full English, just like you, Dr. Beliza, I live in an environment of a non-English speaker. It's quite hard for me, but yeah, we need to overcome this fear, right? How about you, the Professor Salome? Do you agree with us? Do you ever experience this ethnic group affiliation? Can you share with us?
Well, I do agree with that, Miss Nana, because I also experienced the same situation before during my school time. When I tried to communicate or to speak in English, my friends will ridicule and mock me for trying to show off and for not uplifting my own ethnicity language.
How about you, Dr. Ezrin? Since you're the language expert, what teaching concept will you add? It will hard for students who experience this ethnic group affiliation, and surely it will lower their proficiency and willingness to communicate.
In my opinion, anything that related to language learning, the best teaching concept is communication. Therefore, teachers should always communicate with their students using L2 or in this context, English. Even when the teachers are not in the setting in the teaching setting, maybe for example they meet at the supermarket, the teacher should always use English as the medium of communication. This is to normalize the student to use English or to use the L2 in their daily life. And this also will help them to lower their EGA and also help them to be less afraid of using L2 even though there are judgment in their surrounding. And next, in my opinion, eliminating pressure among students also important is an important thing for the teachers to do. This is because some students are reluctant to use English as their medium of communication because their friends or their peers always mocking them. And in this case, teachers should always encourage the learners who want uh, to to increase or to improve their proficiency in English by giving them time to be more comfortable in using the language. And this will help them to lower their EGA and also to increase their WTC in the future.
Thank you, Dr. Ezrin, for the opinion. Now, ladies and gentlemen, ethnic group affiliation and willingness to communicate do have correlation. As now, a study has proved the association between these two variables. For sure, in the future, more study needs to be done in order to bring success to the second language learning and teaching to the next level. And when that time comes, we will once again gather to have a discussion just like we did now, together with some experts. With that thought in mind, it seems like it is the indicator to end our news. Thank you for joining me, dear doctor. Such a lovely day to share this issue with you all. Hope we will get to see each other next time. Thank you to those who stay with us since the beginning. See you next week in Thessalon's Talk at the same day and same time. We will bring to you a new issues to be discussed with other experts. Thank you again. Bye.